Hi everyone, we are going to be answering some of your top questions about studying online and what makes Fanshawe a great study abroad option, especially right now. Fanshawe College has four campuses in the London metropolitan area of Ontario and offers more than 200 degree, diploma, certificate, and apprenticeship programs throughout the year. Fun fact, Fanshawe College grads have the highest employment rates in Ontario. That's about a little bit about Fanshawe. Let's hear from Saurabh. Saurabh, can you introduce yourself?
I am the Senior Manager of International Recruitment at Fanshawe College. I have been with the college for more than 10 years. I handle all international students' services and recruitment for Fanshawe College. I'm so happy to be here joining you today, Sanchit.
How has the institution successfully adapted to online or hybrid learning during the pandemic?
That's a great question, Sanchit. And I think that's a question that every student is thinking. Um, Pandemic has changed everyone's life. As you can see, I'm working from home right now. Everyone's working from home. People are studying from home while managing their families. It changed everything for us as well. We had a great advantage going into the pandemic around online learning, specifically our business school, but in general, our ID school and other schools as well have successfully done online learning for about 9 years. They had resources available. For example, they had online learning coordinators available who already were experts in online learning. And we could use that knowledge and expertise that they had, spread it across the institution. Of course, we had to learn so many new things like the students. But one thing that I've heard from the academics everywhere is international students seem more ready with the technology, which I would not have imagined. But that is what the global education era looks like, where international students have all the technology and they're ready to be successful. They're ready to start online learning here. So at Fanshawe, we went ahead and announced two learning methods. One would be fully online programs, and the second is the hybrid programs. So for example, mechanical engineering could not be fully online. It has to be some online and some in-person classes. So there were two kinds of programs that we announced for fall, and the same is true for winter intake as well. Students who are doing fully online programs are doing these programs through online tools like Zoom, like Bongo, like WebEx. All these tools have been provided by the college. So there is like corporate registration licensing that Fanshawe has provided to all our students for these tools. So you get corporate access for these tools. A lot of these classes have time which is synchronous. So students are doing live classes in many of them. As an example, Sanchit, I'll tell you, one of our most popular programs, business management, it's a postgraduate 2-year program. It's a 100% case study methodology program. Case studies have to happen synchronously.
Right.
So 100% of that program is synchronous. But then there is a program like, for example, information security management, where some of it is synchronous and some of it is asynchronous. And then there are different other kinds of examples as well. But it's a mix of all these learning tools and the ways of learning that we have utilized during the pandemic and have tried to do our best to make sure that the students are successful. One last thing I'd like to add, Sanchit, around that is Fanshawe was so confident around our experience that we'll be able to provide to students. For fall 2020 intake, we did add a Fanshawe experience guarantee for all students, domestic and international. We said, we know you got this, we know you can do this, but if you cannot, generally students have up to 10 days to defer their programs, whatever. But we said, you do have those 10 days, you have an additional 10 days after those 10 days are done to change your mind. If you think you can't handle this, if your circumstances change, we will offer you that opportunity as well. But we are at day 15 of our program start. out of like 8,000 international students, I think there are 11 who've utilized that opportunity right now. That just tells you how confident we were in our professors, in our academic staff, to make sure that these services would be available to students.
Thank you, Saurabh. That sounds like a very comprehensive plan to make sure that online classes and hybrid classes can take place. That brings me to my next question. You mentioned several kinds of services available to the students. So could you tell us a little bit more about what those services look like?
Absolutely. I would say there are two kinds of services that we always talk about. The academic services. Academic services like the professors, like program coordinators, your associate deans, every academic division have a student success advisor. All those services have gone virtual. We have physical. So of course, some students are doing classes in the campus. So for them, we have limited in-person classes, in-person timings available for these services. But vast majority of these are online. So for example, program coordinators have office hours. So of course you can email them. Sometimes you don't want to wait for an email. So they have these 1 hour weekly office hours where if you're having trouble and you need an immediate answer, you go into those office hours, tell them what your challenge is, and they will help you through the process. But a super important, especially for international students, Sanchit, they're coming to Canada for a Canadian experience. Academic experience is super important. What other things apart from academics are really important for them? Career services. So as the Fanshawe Experience Guarantee that I was mentioning earlier, our career services said earlier students had an opportunity. You can drop into the career services. They'll help you with your resume and everything. However, they changed their model in the pandemic. They said every student gets a personal coach. Every student gets a personal career coach. So a career coach was given a specific number of students, and they would coach that student through the process. Again, with career services available online, services available in person. And just like that, library has gone completely online. Library pickups are available virtually, but library has come up with a vast number of resources online. A lot of our books were converted into ebooks during this time as well, which is great news for students. You don't have to spend some money on getting those books. You could get those open books. There is a eCampus Ontario, a big initiative in Ontario around that. Fanshawe is a part of that and have published those books as a part of this initiative as well. Just like that, there are counseling services, mental health services. All of them have made sure that they have virtual hours. In the international services, students, in fact, at this point have more questions. How does this impact my postgraduate work permit? How does this impact my future immigration to Canada? Or does it? So we have international student life coordinators. All of them are available virtually. So on our international webpage, students just go there, they select the time that works for them. One big thing that we did for our online students, because a lot of them are not in Canada, our time zones, our timings are 8:30 to 4:30, right? 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. For many of our international students, especially in East Asia, South Asia, that timing does not work. We extended our times for our call center as well as our international student life coordinators, and we now start work at 5:30 a.m. There is someone available at 5:30 a.m. so that those students who are in online learning and are not in Canada right now, they will be in the future, but right now are not in Canada, they can get access to those services as well. So those are just some examples of Sanchit, what we've done through the pandemic and how we've adapted. We're learning as well, just like students are learning. So we learn every day one more thing that can work for the students, and we adapt and change ourselves and our service model for that as well.
That is fantastic and very thoughtful of the institution to extend the timings to accommodate for students in various time zones. Thank you, Saurabh. Which brings me to my next question. So what would a typical day for a student studying online look like?
Yeah, for sure. And as I mentioned earlier, each online learning looks different. Each online learning program looks a little different. So if you are in a fully synchronous program, you would have a schedule like any other class. You will know your classes from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., then 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., whatever that time is. You will go online you will start Zoom, Bongo, WebEx, whatever tool that is being used. You will go online, you will attend live classes, you will interact in that live class, but your other course might not be live. It might be asynchronous. So the professor would have already put all the content online. We use D2L, Desire to Learn, is our online platform that we use for learning. Students would have the PowerPoints, recorded videos already uploaded there. Students can look at that. They will still have access to professors asking questions and all that, but then they would do that at their own pace. So those are the two kinds of timetables that it would look like for the students. But one thing that I want to say is, for the students, you needed, when it was in-person classes, students needed to be on top of their assignments. In online classes, blended classes, it's the same way. Students have assignments every day. They need to be involved. They need to interact. They need to submit their assignments at the given time. I have experienced that there is a little more flexibility now because everyone is learning. There are new things that everyone has to deal with, especially international students. The technology challenges are significant in many cases. So professors are being as flexible as is fair for students, but still your regular day would look like attend the classes, actually before the class, prepare for the class, attend the class, then submit your assignments, interact with your professors as well. Students have told us every time that they miss the face-to-face interaction with their professors, right? They come to colleges because these professors are industry professionals. They are people who have been in the industry for 10, 20 years. They have recruited our students. Many of them are still have their companies, have their own companies that they're running, and they're teaching with Fanshawe. So they miss that face-to-face interaction as well. So we've put in, as I was mentioning earlier, office hours for our professors and program coordinators, where students can get that face-to-face interaction as well. One thing I do want to talk about, Sanchit, is the resources we put for students to be successful through this, and also even before you're starting an online course, to prepare for that. So instead of me talking about it, let me show students a few resources that we have available, and let me just show you a couple of things that I would like to talk about. So this is the online learning page here on Fanshawe's website. Talks about asynchronous, synchronous. Now, these are terms that we use all the time, but even like I would say many of the academics were not sure what these terms mean and what they reflect. We made sure the exact definition of these terms are on the website. Students know what they're expected. If it's asynchronous, how it will be scheduled. If it's synchronous, how it will be scheduled. We put in a lot of resources online where we said, are you ready for online learning? What tools do you need to be successful in online? So I'll just show you this form that we created. It's amiready.ca. Any student can take this. This basically takes your details, but then it talks about what are the things required to be successful in learning online. So it tells you how ready are you. If you're not ready, what are things that you need to prepare to be ready online for online learning. So we've kind of given students these tools to prepare to be successful even before. So there is another FAQ about online learning. What does online learning mean? How do I log in at certain times? How do I access my Fanshawe online? How do I log into my Ontario Learn course? All the basic questions that students have, not just future students, current students as well, we've answered them at the same page. Fanshawe created Fanshawe Open during this time, where we said, take a free course online, see what a free course looks like, what an online course looks like. So we created Fanshawe Open. Any student can go and log in and register here. You don't have to be a Fanshawe student for this. Once you do that, you can come into my courses, you can add a course, you can browse courses. For example, here I've added Learning to Learn Online. That is a course which is basically looks like this. It talks about what is required to learn online. So the same thing that I was telling you earlier, that's what this course does for our students as well. completely free for students who can go online. fanshaweprospectcc.brightspace.com is the link right here, and you can go in and try to take this course online and just see how you feel, what will be the differences in that as well. So those are just some resources, Sanjay, that we put online for our students to just also see what online learning would look like for them.
That is so comprehensive, Saurabh. Thank you so much for taking us through what the resources look like and making it easier for students to understand what their online classes would be like. So with that, what does a student need to do to begin their online studies?
Yes, and I think, Sanchit, the answer to that is evolving as the immigration policies are evolving as well. One thing I do want to say is the Canadian government has been very responsive in terms of understanding the needs for international students. There was stage 1 approval, AIP, approval in principle, that was brought in because the government realized that a lot of the visa processing offices are closed, but they did not want students to suffer because of that. They still wanted them to start. Government then came out with a clarification that you do not even need a stage 1 approval or an AIP approval to start your program online. So what we've said right now is at Fanshawe, if you start our program, you already have an AIP or a stage 1 approval, that's great. You can start your program, and till the end of semester, if you still get a visa refusal, we don't suspect many students who have a stage 1 approval will get a visa refusal, but on an off chance you still get a visa approval, till December, there is a date, you can get a full refund from Fanshawe. So that's what we did for the September intake. The dates for the January intake will be forthcoming very soon as well. That's for students who had a stage 1 approval AIP. But students who did not have a stage 1 approval or AIP, we said, it's okay. You can still start online because the government gave them an option. If you have applied, you can start online and your duration still counts towards your postgraduate work permit. So we did say to the students, you can start online without an AIP, although the refund policy that I spoke about earlier does not apply to students who started without an AIP, but they do have an option of starting even without an AIP at Fanshawe College. For fall, for winter, as I said, those dates would be forthcoming soon.
Thank you, Saurabh. And this brings me to our final question for the day. What are some of the top reasons as to why students should start their studies online now?
Yeah, that's a great question because Sanjay, a lot of students have considered, what if I just defer to summer? What if I just defer to next fall? I would say time is money, first thing. Right now, you can start online, get the same experience, and still qualify to work and live in Canada. And no one is saying do the complete education that you want to do in Canada online, but do a semester or 2 semesters of the education that you're doing online. First reason I would say is the amount of learning you will do online in terms of not just the content of the program, but in terms of how to handle technology. That I think is a huge tool, a huge skill set that global companies need in the future. While learning online, you learn all that too. You learn the content, but you also learn how to handle technology. What if something goes wrong? How do you handle that then? What are the different tools that are there? What are the different tools your professors are using? You get that kind of exposure as well, which I think is a great thing in 2020. That's something that is absolutely required. The second reason I would say is the ability to save some cost, maybe. You can start online without coming to Canada for a semester, 2 semester, whatever is allowed. You can save your living costs. Even though Canada is a very student-friendly country, the cost of living is not as substantial as many other countries, but that's still a substantial cost. You could save that cost for a semester or 2 semesters and still get all your qualifications, your work permit, everything. The third reason I would say is you can take advantage of a lot of the bursaries and awards that colleges had at this time. So as an example, anyone who started online learning, there were some criteria. We had an online technology award for fall students who started. And I know many other institutions had that too. You could take advantage of those things as well during this time, and at the same time, does not hinder your journey. The process that you're here, we say study, work, live in Canada. So you study, you're qualified for a study permit. That gives you access to part-time work permit, but also a postgraduate work permit after you graduate. Does not hinder your pathway to immigration in any way whatsoever. So why to wait for 4 months, 8 months? And truly, who knows what will happen 4 months down the line as well in this pandemic. Although positive news that is coming from Canada is that they have identified international students to say that they will be allowed to come to Canada in the near future. That's very, very positive news that Canada has announced. But still, starting even right now or in winter, that's a great way to get a head start in your career.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. This has been very, very helpful. This is the end of our formal questions for today, and we really appreciate hearing from you all about Fanshawe College and why it is important to start their journey right now. We appreciate you joining us for this call today. And right before I end, I want to summarize a few quick things that I learned from this conversation with you. Sounds to me that there are lots of tech resources provided by Fanshawe College to facilitate online and hybrid learning. And there's, on top of that, something fairly unique is the Fanshawe Experience Guarantee, where students can be in classes for 10 days and after that, even 10 additional days to see if they're not liking the experience, then request a deferral to a future intake. And that's amazing. I also found out today that you have extended academic and student services to help students in other time zones for accessing all these services at the time that is comfortable for them. A great initiative by Fanshawe. And also a full refund if you get a visa refusal after starting your online classes, as long as you had a stage 1 visa approval, or as we call it, AIP. And you can avail this by end of December should you get refused, on a very slim chance of a refusal after getting a stage 1 approval. And finally, sort of top tip to you all is that start online. You're going to get the same or the similar experience, and you will still qualify for post-study work permit given the regulations by Canadian Immigration, IRCC, and save some cost in the process if you started your first semester studying from home. To me, it sounds like there are so many resources, and starting online right now is a great option. It really allows students to continue their education safely in a well-supported way and be prepared for the life that is going to come after the education. The job market, which is going to be tech heavy, which is going to be demanding of you knowing and understanding all these tech resources. So stay safe. Thank you for joining us today. Stay healthy. If you have any more questions, log on to applyboard.com or contact your representative. We will be very happy to help you. Thank you, and all the best in your study abroad journey. We shall see you here.